Long shots have become more and more common in the NBA in the last few years. We've had some superb long-range shooters, but the longest shots ever made in NBA history are the ones that came mostly out of desperation. With a few seconds left, the players just threw the ball hoping for the best, and some did connect. Here's a list of some of the longest made in NBA history. Starting with number 9, Andre Drummond versus the Toronto Raptors, 71-footer in 2016. Andre Drummond is known for his rebounds and his superb dunks, but during this regular season match between the Pistons and the Raptors, Drummond turned into Steph Curry, only to do something even Steph hasn't done. Before we get into detail, a certain Jose Calderon deserves a special mention because he too shot from 71 feet and made it. The only reason we're adding Drummond over Calderon is that this one is more recent and, well, we watched it live, so we decided to go with it. In his career up until that point, Andre had a poor record of 2 for 22 on shots from beyond the 15-foot mark and 11 for 81 on shots from 10 feet or more. That pretty much explains why it was such a rare occasion in his career. In fact, his other field goals came from 2 dunks and a layup, so it's probably fair to say that no one was expecting it. He didn't care though. He made the shot just as the third quarter came to an end, and it was the longest shot of the season, of course, but the Raptors still went on to win. Up next at number 8, Darius Miller versus the Golden State Warriors, 72-footer in 2018. This is one of the only 2 entries on the list that came in playoffs. Darius Miller, playing for the Pelicans against the Warriors, showed Steph how it's done on the night. Curry was injured though, but we're sure he'll remember this historic shot. Darius Miller, out of absolutely nothing and pretty much against the run of play considering the Warriors were sweeping the floor with the Pelicans, came up with a moment to savor. He made a 72-foot three-pointer just as the buzzer sounded at the end of the second quarter. To his credit, he would finish the game with 9 points, but this three-pointer is one that'll live with him forever. Fun fact, Anthony Davis was also playing for New Orleans in this one, but he couldn't do much as they were destroyed by the Warriors with an astonishing 37-9 run in the first. Adding to that at number 7, Zoran Planinic versus the Utah Jazz, 77-footer in 2005. Hailing from Croatia, Zoran Planinic spent 3 years in the NBA with the New Jersey Nets. He was a first-round pick, and while he eventually returned to Europe to continue playing, the Croatian League MVP of 2001 was actually a decent player. While he didn't do many notable things in his NBA stint, he still managed to make history and will be remembered for a long time because he has the record for one of the longest shots ever made in NBA history. For Planinic, the golden moment came during the end of the third quarter as he scored an outrageous three-pointer from 77 feet back in 2005. A certain Vince Carter was playing for the Nets and scored 21 points, but he definitely learned a thing or two from Planinic's full-court shot, as we'll see later in the video. On to number 6, Herb Williams versus the Sacramento Kings, 81-footer in 1986. For this one, we're going all the way back to 1986, some 36 years into the past, when Herb Williams was a regular for the Indiana Pacers. Playing against the Kings, Williams found himself in unfamiliar territory, some 80-plus feet away from the net at the stroke of halftime, but he decided to let it rip. Until that time, no one had dared to attempt something of this sort, and the ones who did came up well short, but Williams had luck on his side that day. He sunk the 81-footer and gave the Pacers an important lead going into the first half. Ray Compton, the Pacers vice president, pulled out a tape and immediately rushed to where Williams had sunk that at halftime. The measured distance came to 81 feet, but there was a lot of debate about whether his feet were actually further away. No way of knowing, but it could easily be a lot more. Then at number 5, Vince Carter versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, 82-footer in 2016. Vince Carter is one of the best players to play in the NBA, and back in 2016, when he was 39, the Grizzlies guard did a thing for the ages. The Grizzlies were playing the Timberwolves, and with 2.8 seconds left in the third quarter, Carter secured a rebound from his own basket, and as soon as he turned, he looked for the pass. A quick look at the clock made him realize that a pass wouldn't cut it. One of the most exciting players in the 15-odd years that he spent in the NBA, it made sense for Vince to go for the basket instead. The 82-footer jump shot ended up in the net, much to the delight of the fans, and he went on to lead the Grizzlies to a 109-104 win and scored 15 points in the process. After that, at number 4, LeBron James versus the Boston Celtics, 83-footer in 2007. We've come to expect the unexpected from LeBron James, as his distinguished career has gone on, but in 2007, he wasn't the star he'd go on to become. Playing against the Celtics, a team he'll eventually go on to share some heated moments with, James produced a wild moment. Now, he's managed to establish a reputation for buzzer beaters, but this one was definitely a special one due to the insane distance. James made the shot from 83 feet at the end of the third quarter with only a second left on the clock. It made it to the net, of course it did, and TD Garden couldn't believe what it was seeing. The King just had to be on the list, didn't he? Entering the top 3, Magic Johnson Johnson versus the Nuggets 84-footer in 1987. It's the name. Magic Johnson was known for producing magic on the court, and this was no different. Just a year after Herb Williams' 80-foot-plus long shot against the Kings, Magic decided to do the same for the Lakers in 1987. Of course, though, unlike Herb's, Johnson's shot came in the playoffs against the Nuggets. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that it reminded him of the OG Jerry West 60-footer, and he's not wrong. Magic rebounded an air ball shot by Denver's Bill Hanslick and finds some space before deciding to shoot a one-hander. The buzzer beater goes off while the ball's traveling on its insanely long journey, but Magic makes it and the crowd goes wild. It's even better watching someone do it in front of the home crowd, because imagine coming out to play the next quarter. It would be so much fun. As for the Lakers, they'd go on to sweep the Nuggets, and well, it was somewhat of a mismatch, let alone the likes of Magic pulling these magical moments off too. At number 2, Norm Van Lier versus the San Antonio Spurs 84-footer in 1977. The oldest entry on the list comes in at number 2, as Norm Van Lier made an 84-footer against the Spurs when playing for the Chicago Bulls some 45 years ago. While there isn't any footage for the insane moment, it's still well recorded and well preserved in words. Some reporters argue that it was more than 84, and some say it was less, but we'll settle for 84 and give it the number 2 just in case. We've seen most of the other shots, and that should help you realize that any shot on this list isn't anything short of a miracle. Van Lier sinking it in from 80-plus feet is as good as it gets, with only one other person ever making a longer shot in the history of the NBA. The Chicago Bulls fans can feel a little bit at ease knowing their team's name appears on the list as well. Last, but most outrageous, Baron Davis versus the Milwaukee Bucks 89-footer in 2001. Playing for the Charlotte Bobcats, Baron Davis produced a moment that not only tops this list, but also remains at the very top for some of the best NBA moments in history. Until this point, Van Lier had held the record for the longest field goal, which came from 84 feet, and his record stood for 24 years. Davis let an 89-foot one-hander prayer fly, and it was answered within a second by the basketball gods as Davis' one-hander reached the net. Talking about the shot, Baron explains how he called the shot, and we don't know if that makes any difference, but it's cold either way. Will there be another shot that breaks this record? We don't think so, but that's probably what people thought about the Van Lier shot. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these long shots is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.